We're going to start the committee. Today is 9/11 and it's 4:03 p.m. First call the roll.
Chairperson Juan Garza.
Here.
Vice Chair Ted Masiacos.
Present.
Alderman John Lash.
Here.
Alderman Emmanuel Llamas.
Okay, he's coming in a few
Alderman
minutes.
Brandon Tolliver.
Here.
5 present.
Okay. Please, first approval the minutes, 230698. Okay, motion approved by John Lash.
Second.
Second, Alderman Ted Masiacos. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. We have public comments?
We have no one signed up for public comment today,
Okay.
Alderman.
All right. Can you please read the first item in the agenda?
Item 23-0520, a resolution to accept the selected proposal for a multi-use sculpture at 14 East Downer Place, Aurora, Illinois, Ward 2.
Good afternoon. I'm Jen Byrne, Director of Public Art. All right, so today we're taking a look at the selected proposal. It's gone through the process, which I will outline in just a moment, for a sculpture to go in the sculpture park next to the Pierce Center. Okay, so the selection process that this has gone through, first we had an RFQ that was released. Submissions are reviewed by first Public Art staff and then the Aurora Public Art Commission, who reviews and votes on a recommendation. 0 to 3 submissions for any Public Art RFQ are selected for a design contract. In this case, it was one contract that went out. They unanimously selected a single artist. For the design submission review, that starts with Public Art staff, then again the Aurora Public Art Commission. It goes through the mayor's office for review, the development services team, and then city council. The selected artist chosen unanimously by the Aurora Public Art Commission is Edra Soto. She's a Puerto Rican sculptor based in Chicago. She came here to attend the School of the Art Institute and has been here for 20-some years as a very well-known professor and artist who has an impressive resume. This year was the 10-year anniversary of her Graft series of sculptures. Graft, the whole series references the Latino immigrant experience. Specifically, she grew up until she was 27 in Puerto Rico, and the steel work on these screens references the fencing, the iron work that is found in Latin American cultures that goes over windows, as gates, so reminders of the vernacular architecture of where she grew up. Earlier this year, the Whitney Museum of American Art in New York made an acquisition of one of her sculptures for their permanent collection. So we selected and provided a design contract to Ms. Soto prior to this acquisition. So that's kind of exciting because she's really a rising star who is becoming more and more expensive. But we got her first. So for Aurora's Graft sculpture series, it will function as 5 seating structures. The materials are cast concrete and powder-coated steel, both referencing the Latin American experience that is referenced in all of her Graft series. So on the left, you can see a detail that kind of shows the design work of the cast concrete, and then on the right, you can see how some of that functions, the screen, what that looks like together. So the location will be the 14 East Downer Place is the address for the park just west, of the 20 East Downer Place Pierce Art and History Center. And this site mock-up, let's see if this, so this shows how it would look in the space. As you can see, it's 5 different structures that are laid out across the first 15 feet of the space from the sidewalk. We will have landscaping done by downtown maintenance, and we are also planning on a mural that reflects the local flora and coordinates with this landscaping that our downtown maintenance program is going to do, which is a separate project. The lighting design, as you can see here, that will be uplit with permanent lighting. It's submarine rated, permanently sunk in, so it's theft proof into the concrete pads that will be laid for each of these 5 structures. And for the total budget is $112,038. So we only did one design fee contract. That was $2,000, which is that was 2% of the total project cost. That's already been completed. Sculpture fabrication and installation is $100,000. That was the budget laid out for the CIP that was approved in late 2021 for this project. $85,000 will go to technical services and fabrication and materials. The artist fee is $15,000. The light fixtures themselves are $5,058, and they will be installed by city staff. The concrete pad installation and materials will be a total of $4,980 per the estimate that was attached. And the landscaping will be no additional cost. It falls within the budget for downtown development. So, are there any questions about this?
Questions, comments? Yes?
Thank you. You mentioned a mural that's going to be a separate project, but where would that go then?
It would be on the side of the Pierce Center, so that west-facing side, and will kind of delineate this space. The sculptures will be in the first 15 feet of the lawn there in that park. The park itself is about 85 feet deep, so the mural would be on that first part of the wall going back, to sort of delineate that this is the space where public art is happening, and that would be on panels and will be a separate project with a separate budget, and that would go up next year.
Would those be permanent?
It'll be on panels, so it can, because it's a brick wall, we can't do painting directly onto the brick wall. So the panels can be, we'll put it up so that it can be there for decades, but it can be quickly removed.
The reason I'm just asking is because we're looking at $112,000 for some sculptures here, and if that's going to be hard to justify to taxpayers. And my immediate reaction was, what, $100,000 for this? That's going to be the reaction of the public too, so I would like to be able to show them this is what the bigger picture is going to look like, and it's going to include a mural here that's going to complement it or draw attention to it, and we can expect it to be there permanently, or the panels switched out every year, every 2 years. So if you had more information like that, I think that'd be helpful for the rest of us too.
Sure, thank you. So the sculptures are permanent. They're powder-coated steel and concrete, and they can be there for, indefinitely, those materials.
So those won't eventually rust out like some
Yeah.
of iron fences will?
Correct, correct.
Or is there a guarantee by the artist?
I can get that
Or whoever's
information
fabricating it.
for you.
If you could, I mean, even like if they say it comes with a 5-year guarantee, even though it's not equipment that we're worried about, but it's still a lot of money.
I understand.
Thank you.
More questions?
Chair.
Yes?
Is
Yeah.
the 85,000 and the, I think 15,000, is it being constructed by the artists themselves, or is there a different contractor who's actually going to carry out the work? And then she gets a 15% fee. I'm trying to understand that cost breakdown.
Thank you, that's a good question. So it's actually 2 entities. The Navalis Woodworks is the business of her husband, Dan Sullivan. So the contract is with Edgesoto, but all fabrication is done by Navalis Woodworks. So the the quote that we have received with the information where they broke down that 8515 was written out by Navalis and Edra together.
And then I guess my other question is, there always seems to be on these art projects, it sounds like this person came to the Aurora Art School but lives in Chicago. Did we look at local artists from Aurora? I mean, that it always creates what I'm just going to use the word drama in the art circle when we hire somebody from outside the city to do these. I just want to know what that, you kind of went over the process at the beginning, but our local focus to develop our art community here.
Sure. So the RFQ always goes out publicly to everyone. We do seek to give preference, all things being equal, to artists who are from Aurora or have some connection to Aurora. In this case, the submissions we received, this was the one artist who had the level of experience and reliability that we thought would guarantee a successful project, as well as the, secondarily, having this name and this reputation that would help our economic development by bringing in public art tourism, drawing art fans from outside of Aurora.
Is she going to be part of a grand opening?
Yes.
An unveiling? Okay,
Absolutely.
thank you. I don't have
Thank
any
you.
questions.
Ted? No?
Madam Chair, I think it's an exciting project. I think it'll fit right in to where you're planning to put it. I'm looking forward to it as well. The only thing is, if we're trying to get a guarantee, I know the artist's not going to give it. The guarantee will have to come from the manufacturer of the artwork, and it might add cost to the project as well. So, but there's typically a lifespan to powder coat something of this nature as well. But nonetheless, like I said, make a motion to approve, Madam Chairwoman.
Okay. So question, does the art commission decide for this art, for this design?
Yes, yes. And then this design was,
They don't have no other choices? The place is very beautiful, just to put things like fences in there, to me.
so this is actually the fifth design that the artist provided. We brought the first design to the public art, well, the first design I requested as a staff, based on staff review, requested a second design. And then, based on staff review, the Aurora Public Art Commission review, and the mayor's office review, we actually went through to a fifth design, which is what you're seeing. So the artist was easy to work with in trying to provide a design that the administration really liked.
Yeah.
And
My
thought was
only
good for our
concern
community.
is, like Alderman say, so maybe 5 years later, they're gonna be very rusty. So if the city staff wanna put it on, so who gonna be responsible later for doing the same coat or paint or whatever? Or, because I think they have a special paint, no?
Yes, as it stands, the city will be responsible to re-powder coat it if necessary, or when necessary.
Yes.
So this is the fifth design, right? The first four, would we be able to see the renderings of those?
If you like, I could provide those, yes.
Yeah, just we have for reference to know how we got to this point.
Yeah,
Sure.
Thank you.
okay. Is motion already in the floor?
Yes.
You made the motion, okay. Motion by Alderman Ted Masiaco, second Alderman John Lesh. Yes, okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, 4-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item.
Item 23-0617, a resolution authorizing the Director of Purchasing to purchase 5-year subscription for a real-time crime center analytics solution from Fuses Peachtree Corners, Georgia, for a total award of $666,328 with 0 cents with a 10% contingency.
Good afternoon. My name's Andy Walcott. I'm a lieutenant with the police department. I oversee, I'm the special services lieutenant, so oversee a lot of things, including your special events, our traffic unit, and also our critical incident intelligence center or real-time crime center. So today I'm here to present on a common operating picture software that we're looking to get called Fuses. So kind of give a little background. In 2019, the police department began its KIC Center, or Critical Incident Intelligence Center, to kind of serve as a hub of information for the police department, both of information internal and information coming from the outside, and then also to serve as a real-time crime center and kind of help get information out to our patrol officers as they respond to crimes in progress, and trying to help people and do that more efficiently. So in 2021, the room where the KIC personnel work out of was remodeled, as you can see in the picture here, to include a large video wall so we can have multiple screens and information up and available real time and kind of keeping an eye on what's going on. So we began in 2021 looking at what's called a common operating picture. So that would pull in multiple sources of information into one spot in one location, one screen, basically one single pane of glass, so we can kind of have a good holistic view of what's going on. And in 2022, the City Council had authorized $59,900 for 2022 and beyond to be used for a common operating picture. We had an original vendor in mind. Once we started moving along in that process, we had some concerns about some hidden fees. We also learned that, because technology moves so fast, that technology had moved along and outpaced the technology of that company. So then last year, we went through the marketplace, or started the marketplace city process, with IT to kind of make sure we were looking at and finding the best product, the best price, and everything else. An RFP was posted and distributed, resulting in 6 submissions for 4 distinct products. Of those, a subset of 3 vendors were asked to demonstrate their solution. From that, 2 finalists were chosen, one being the Genetec CityGraph from Siemens, and then Fuses. Fuses, which is the product we're talking about today, was ultimately selected through the process for the following reasons. Basically, they're unified data streams, which is their ability to bring in so many different things, video data, computer-aided dispatch information, and they have a partnership with Axon, and that all surpassed the other vendors. Additionally, their pricing structure was a flat software as a service structure, so that there weren't additional costs. Prior to going to the marketplace city, the previous vendor was going to, every time we wanted to add something on, was going to hit us with charges for that, yearly charges for that. So the user interface was also a big key for this, as it's a streamlined user interface, similar to navigating Facebook or any modern website online, and then also their ability to for us to have our officers access that information immediately from their cell phones. So the capabilities of the system, this is a screenshot from Minneapolis of their system. It integrates programs that currently we must log in to multiple programs to see what's going on. For example, our computer-aided dispatch, where our officers are getting their calls for service and someone calls 911, that call right now, it just goes into the computers, into the computer system. this system will pull that information up and it will pop up on the screen. Our Axon body-worn cameras and squad locations, not only will the video be available through this software because of their partnership with Axon, but we'll actually be able to see the locations of all of our officers. So it's, good tactically when we have an emergency, knowing where people are at, knowing where they're responding from, and then, when that call for service pops up on the screen, we'll be able to see the locations of all the officers that are right there and who's the closest and that type of thing. We'll also, the other thing that it will integrate is the city's Genetec video camera system for all the video cameras the city has. So if a call for service pops up, same thing, we'll know immediately where the closest officer is. We'll also know the immediate closest camera that may have still be able to capture a suspect fleeing, or that may be able to play back video, so we can immediately click on that and pull that video up live as the situation's unfolding, or if it's a crash, we can pull up and kind of see what kind of resources we need to send to that crash. The other thing that it will integrate is Motorola Vigilant stolen vehicle alerts. So if a stolen vehicle passes a camera, we'll get an alert. It will pop up on here. We'll know immediately who's nearby, where it's at, and that type of thing. Our shot spotter alerts would also pop up in here. So again, the same thing if we have cameras or officers nearby or squad cars nearby, that it will all populate into the same screen. Another nice feature of it is, as you may know, the city is a big user of the Esri products and ArcGIS mapping, and so we do a lot of mapping already. We do a lot of crime mapping of hot spots and locations to try to guide our officers where to respond. We also have maps of sex offender locations, so our officers know where the sex offenders or where registered violent offenders who are court mandated to register live, and we can click and add those layers on top of that. So if we have a sexual assault occurs, we can overlap where the sex offenders right on that, like instantly. The officers from the street can do that on their cell phone and see exactly what's going on. So those, a lot of enhancements in that, along, and then the final piece to it is their collaboration with outside camera systems from private entities with their permission. So, for example, the outlet mall, that's obviously a critical infrastructure for the city. If something major happened there, it would not only be bad for the people of Aurora, for the outlet mall, but for the whole city as a whole. And that's a continued concern of ours. Right now, we don't have a way to access cameras there and see what's going on. If there's a call for a disturbance or something else going on, we can't pull those up. And through this system, we can link in to their cameras, to selected cameras that they chose to give us access to, parking lots and things like that, so we can see what's going on and better direct our response. And again, those cameras would pop up like these little yellow cameras you see on this map, where then we could just click on them and live view them immediately without having to go log into a whole nother system and pull up their cameras, and in the meantime, the suspect's already fled or worse crimes have happened. And the same would be true for schools and other small businesses. This is just an overview of what we'll be able to see. So officers, supervisors, and dispatchers will be able to see and access all the following data live in one view. As I mentioned, the CAD dispatch calls will pop up showing the location and basic call data. Officers' body camera and squad locations will be displayed live and can be immediately live streamed through the program with the click of a button. The stolen vehicle alerts will pop up, shot spotter alerts, the Genetec cameras, I mentioned that, the ArcGIS layers. Some of the other layers that we can add on are property addresses and property lines. A lot of times, an officer will use, for example, Google Maps or something when they're going to a house or trying to figure out where a call is or what the property address, because maybe somebody doesn't have their address on the house. This would allow us to, over the city's ArcGIS maps, overlay those on so we could actually see the property lines and the addresses and everything else right on top of it, fire hydrant locations, all kinds of different information that we could overlay on there. Talked about the outlet mall cameras and the cameras, floor plans, and other things that this software allows for is inputting floor plans. So we can access floor plans and see floor plans immediately on the officer's phone, so that we can kind of see what's going on. So, West Aurora, East Aurora, these are big schools with lots of different rooms and stuff, and if we had an incident happen there, we'd be able to pull up those floor plans and see exactly where the officer would be able to pull them up and see exactly where they needed to respond. A real-world application, and how we see this used in the real world. For example, in an active shooter situation, for an active shooter incident at a school, we would be able to see the floor plan of the school with the cameras mapped out, knowing exactly where cameras are to better direct officers into the building. We can also usually replay the video to get a suspect description. We'd also be able to see officers' body camera locations on the same screen, be able to live stream those as well. Supervisors would be able to guide response based on the location of personnel using the map. Another real-world application would be for special events. So during special events such as River Edge Park events and concerts, we can layer specific maps over onto the Fusus system, including vendor booths, food trucks, and all that, so that we could see exactly where officers are compared to, the vendor tent or the merchandise tent or the beer tent. We'll know where everybody is, and we can have a real good understanding of where people are responding from, or where, maybe we have too many officers in one area and we need to spread them out, and we can better allocate those resources. As I mentioned, officer body cams location will overlay on top of that map. So if an incident occurs, the event supervisor and dispatch will immediately know what cameras we have nearby, what officers are the closest to respond. So, there's a lot of cameras at River Edge Park to keep the place safe, and those will all kind of overlay on the same map. The cost, the total cost for 2023 or remainder of the year would be prorated from the date of the contract signing, would be $41,320, which includes a $4,000 Fusus core, which is just a way for us to connect additional cameras to the system from places like the outlet mall. And then after that, it would be $125,000 a year. The total max cost for this year, as I mentioned, would be $41,328. Cost for remaining years would increase by $65,100 from the original budgeted $59,900 a year. Future costs for 2024 and beyond have been included in the 2024 budget proposal. So I'm glad to answer any questions that you have.
Questions, comments?
A few
Yes.
questions. Thank you. So the $59,900, that's 2022. So we have this software already in place. Is that correct?
The original software was never purchased because when it was budgeted and it was never purchased.
Okay. Have you looked at this work in another police department and overseen it? The reason I ask is I did intelligence work in the Middle East at the tip of the spear, and we constantly got these promises of all these overlays of SIGINT, MASINT, all kinds of intelligence sources being integrated, and it never worked. And as much promise, I mean, that was 1990s. Obviously, we've advanced technologically, but you said it, that technology always outpaces the integration of one software going into another.
Yes.
So I guess you haven't seen it working, or?
No, we have. Locally, there's, I believe, about 20 departments in the state or more that have it. The biggest one, one of the bigger programs is Oakbrook and Oakbrook Mall. They use it for the mall and for everything that got going on, and try to address some of the retail theft problems they're having coming out from the city and things like that. Another one is Orland Park, who has a great program going on. Minneapolis is using it. I could get you a list of all the different cities and states that are using it. We're really confident in this software, and again, we felt we've been judicious in trying to make sure we're getting the best product. We also feel that the way that the agreement is written for upgrades and updates, that those are included, so we shouldn't be, as they upgraded the product and the software, those will be automatically rolled in so that it's not, an extra expense.
I have 2 or 3 other questions.
Sure.
What's the integration like? We have a mobile command unit. This is in actual APD headquarters, correct? What's the relationship between the mobile command unit and this facility?
I guess
Watch floor.
I'm not sure of your question. Could you say that again?
Does the mobile command unit have access to all the same information?
Yes, so that's one of the reasons that we really like the software is that, like I said, we can get it on all of our cell phones. Any of our officers can get it on the laptop. Dispatch can get it, the Critical Incident Intelligence Center can get it, the supervisors can get it, the mobile command post can get it. Everybody can have this. For example, at Fiestas Patras over the weekend, we had our mobile command post out. And, had they have this, they could look at one time and see where everybody is and what exactly is going on. As soon as they say that, there's a disturbance by one of the bars or something, we'll know exactly which officers are right by the bars, and which cameras to pull up, because you just click on them because you'll be able to see right there, so.
And then my last question is how is the Shot Spotter software working in Aurora? Because I looked at several overviews of Chicago, Northwestern School of Law put together a look at investigative across multiple municipalities. And in Chicago, for example, they had over 50,000 hits by ShotSpotter, which only 2 resulted in actual interaction with a person with a weapon. And I want to say just a handful of arrests. And the problem they saw with it was they were sending people out to calls for fireworks and things like that. I'm just curious what the Aurora experience with that software has been.
The Aurora experience, I think, has been really positive. That program falls under me, and I think it's been a good success. I myself was on a call where we had a juvenile and located a juvenile with a firearm who'd been shooting rounds off in their backyard. And you're talking a 15, 16-year-old kid that we wouldn't have known about had it not been for the system. So I think
there wasn't a 911 call on that?
No 911 call on it. So I think it's very successful.
No questions, comments? Yes?
No, so moved.
Okay. Yes?
Question?
Yeah,
Thank
you
you,
have a
Madam
question?
Chairwoman. Thank you, Lieutenant, for presenting today this resolution. I did review it over the weekend. Just trying to understand a little bit, just for a little bit of clarity. Payments start probably September 13th, according to this prorated. When do you anticipate this thing up and running 100%?
So that was the anticipated initial time frame of getting it through City Council and everything. The contract would go in effect, and the prorated fee would kick in once Jolene signed off on it. After it goes, a few days after it goes through council, and then they anticipate that they'd be going live within 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay.
Actually, he said 2 to 3 weeks of the signing of the contract, because it's already things that they, like the stuff with Axon, like they have that set up nationwide already. So, so it's a matter of just making the connections and things like that. So it's a pretty fast turnaround on getting it up and running.
Okay, and so there'll be like 24/7 phone service to train?
Yes,
Somebody
yes.
tires or-
They come out and do the training, and then they'll train all of our officers that are in services, and then do more advanced training for us that are going to be, for the people operating it, so we can select different layers and who has access to different things and different permissions and things like that.
And what will be the reality of additional costs being signed off on?
The only potential, the only tied in cost is ShotSpotter, I think we're coming on the 25th here on ShotSpotter for integration with Hexagon. And that, so that won't actually be a cost to this project. But ShotSpotters, we're going to be requesting an integration with Hexagon, which is our computer-aided dispatch. So when the alerts are generated, they go right into and auto-generate a call for service. But within that, it allows multiple integrations, and so that would actually allow for the ShotSpotter integration to this. It would be included. So there's actually no additional cost to this.
The proposal calls out for core, Fusus core items. There's like 7 or 8 of them for, I don't know, light extended, pro extended, et cetera, additional streams. I mean, that's what I'm trying to get at. What's the true cost of this? Is a potentiality that we're going to,
Well,
we're signing off on any of these items here as well, or no?
as you can probably see in there, we have multiple Fusus cores and cameras included in it. And each of the Fusus cores, I believe, will stream up to 180 different cameras. So those, like, we added one extra Fusus core, which will help us make sure that we can get all the mall cameras in. We can get a total of up to 1,500 streams per the contract. And so, we will be then selecting, which cameras, because, maybe the mall has, 300 cameras or something. We don't need access to all those cameras, like if it's a closet or something like that,
Okay.
So that would be the only, in a few years down the road, as more and more cameras are added, there may be additional costs to bump to the next level above 1,500 streams.
All right, and those communities that you just referenced earlier that already have this type of a system, do they use Fusus or Siemens? Or is it a combination of both that you saw?
Fusus, the big city that's, been using the Siemens product is, Chicago has been using that. As we mentioned, part of the issue with that system is that it doesn't allow for as many integrations. And one of the biggest benefits specifically for Fusus is their partnership with Axon. So Axon is very secure with their information because, as you guys know from, that there's a lot of secure information in digital evidence and video and stuff that they don't want going anywhere. So they will only allow like the Genetec platform to see where the body cameras are. You can't actually then live view the body cameras. So this is basically the only product out there because of their partnership with Axon where we can actually then see and click and live view that.
And it's segue into my next question about seeing, and I liked what you showed, a floor plan for the schools. Are we already connected in with the schools, or is that something that we have to work out moving forward? Because it really grabbed my attention, and I really like the fact that you're going to have the ability, hopefully with this, without having to procure additional agreement, to have that visibility.
I don't want to disclose, exactly everybody that we have access to just for safety purposes right now, but we do have partnerships with schools and ongoing working at partnership with schools.
Yeah. All right. Fantastic. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Okay. Is that
Give you
another
a second.
question?
I'm going to be a no vote, but I'll be a second.
Okay. All right. So the motion by Alderman Lama, second Alderman John Lash. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay,
No.
motion passed 4-0.
No, 3-1.
Oh, you know?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. Correct. 3 in favor, 1 no.
Yeah. Are you counting your own vote? Do you count your own vote? Is it because we have 5 now with Brandon?
No, he cannot vote.
Oh, okay.
No, he cannot vote now. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Next item.
Item 23-0631, a resolution to award a contract to Jetco Ltd. for the water treatment plant coatings rehabilitation project in the amount of $431,560 with 0 cents for the water production division.
Good afternoon, Bob Lively, Superintendent of Water Production. This item intends to perform coatings rehabilitation on specifically identified treatment vessels at the water treatment plant. Previously, Engineering Enterprises was hired to do the design work and prepare the bidding specifications. The bidding was completed. We did a pre-bid meeting. You had to attend if you wanted to bid on the project. Bids were publicly opened for this on August 23rd, and we received 5 bids from professional industrial painting contractors. The bids range from $431,560 to $636,500. The engineer's estimate was for $605,000 for this project. Jetco Limited, who the city has worked with before, recoating the southeast standpipe, they submitted the lowest responsible bid for $431,560. EEI has gone over the submitted bid, and they recommend the award to Jetco, and WPD concurs with that to award the bid to Jetco for $431,560. And that includes alternate A in the bid. Questions?
Questions, comments? Yes? Yeah?
I appreciate the photos. I
Okay.
really do. Something I picked up from former Alderman Bob O'Connor. The picture that looks like a funnel, it's, I mean, could you just clarify, just for the record, it's not like 10 feet in diameter, right? It is
Yeah, that's,
way, way, way bigger than that, and we
Yeah.
only have 2 of them.
yeah, have you been to the plant before?
Yes,
Yeah, so,
I just wanted you to clarify
yeah,
that.
that's the
How important-
largest Claricone vessel.
Right,
That's
okay.
about 60 feet in diameter, if not more.
And we really have to take care of it, because
Yeah, and there's 3 vessels that are being rehabbed, and it's only in the internal portions. The coatings on the outside of these vessels are in perfect shape. It's the parts that are submersed in water constantly that end up, suffering the coating loss and the corrosion.
Right. All right, so the sooner we get going with this, the better. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah. All right. Motion approved.
Yes?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Motion, who made the motion? Jan? You make the motion? Okay. And second, Llamas, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
motion passed 4-0.
Thank you.
Item 23-0703, a resolution authorizing the Director of Purchasing to execute a change order to the agreement with Kluber, Inc., 41 West Benton Street, Aurora, Illinois, 60506, in the amount of $99,750 for additional design services for the second floor build-out of the new Public Works Combined Maintenance Facility.
Thank you very much. Ian Wade with the Public Works Engineering Division. As described in the memorandum here, as you are aware, we have the ongoing construction of our new Public Works maintenance facility. We have been under contract, as described in the background there, with Kluber Architects to provide the preliminary design services. We've added a few other items, out-of-scope items, to their design via a recent change order. And then, with recent direction from the mayor's office, the second floor of the building, which was originally to remain unfinished, has been identified as a good landing spot to relocate the engineering division, which is currently housed at the second floor of the Development Services Center. So obviously, with Kluber doing the design and the construction manager, R.C. Wegman, having not yet put out bid package 3, which would include the build-out of the building itself, we had an opportunity to get this designed and included in that last round of bids by Wegman. So the timing was good in being able to fit this in before we got to the build-out of the building itself. So we got the proposal that you saw. I actually didn't mention in the memorandum, and I apologize, but there was a sketch that showed the general layout that was provided by engineering as the final page of that proposal that was included. So if you want to take a peek at that, but other than that, I'll take any questions.
Questions, comments?
Just real quick, are you going to upload that sketch then to before the?
It should be on there. I can separate it if you like. I believe it was the last page of the PDF that was attached as the proposal document.
Gotcha. Thank you.
You bet.
Madam Chairwoman,
Okay, yes?
I have a question.
Yes.
I'm totally excited about this project coming to fruition sooner rather than later. You're probably more excited than I am, probably, and your team as well.
You bet.
But my question comes around to long-term. No issue with Kluber and doing a design package. Just a verification that when we move forward with this, we're going to have enough money to do the build-out itself in addition to the already approved construction cost.
Yeah, we did get a cost estimate, and with how we'd come in so far under our budget, there is still money within the previously established budget
All
to
right,
include
yeah,
this.
because it
building.
makes sense to know that we have the money down the road too before we approve this first step.
You bet.
Because if we don't go through with it, then you still might have to hire another architect or a little bit more down the road. Because there's a savings here, I would think.
Absolutely.
By
Yeah.
doing it now as
Yeah.
well and not later.
And even to take it one step further, we did ask that the inclusion of the construction pieces that are going into this build-out be bid as bid alternates as well, so they will be standalone costs that should the costs of that come back higher than we had anticipated or hoped, we would still have the ability to pump the brakes at that point because it wouldn't be lumped in with the rest of the costs. So not that we anticipate doing so, but we will still have full options on the table at the time
Yeah,
the bids
because you have
are
a
open.
construction manager on the job. They'd be able to help give you some level of a cost estimate ballpark.
Yes, yes,
Yeah, thank you so much.
you bet.
Motion to approve.
Okay, motion by Alderman Ted Mesiacos. Second, Jan Lesch, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Motion passed 4-0. Next
Item-
item.
Item 23-0717, a resolution to award the Fifth Street and Bevier Place Sewer Separation and Avon Street Water Main Replacement Project located in Ward 2 to Girardi Sewer and Water Company in the bid amount of $1,072,530.00.
Good afternoon, Kurt Muth with the Engineering Division. This is the last of the 4 sewer separation jobs that we're trying to complete this year, trying to squeeze it in before winter. It's going to be a tight time frame, but we think we can get it done. It's going to involve installing storm sewer on 5th Street, north of North Avenue, and also on Bevier, north of North Avenue up to Benton Street. Another portion of the project will be replacement of the 4-inch water main on Avon Street, just to the west of 5th that has a history of breaks. And we're going to upsize that to 8-inch to also improve the capacity. It is anticipated that we'll have mostly lead services in this project area, so we're anticipating replacing all those as we come across them. Let's see here. We bid it out publicly, actually got quite a few responses, 10, surprising for this late in the season, but it was very competitive. And the low bidder was Girardi Sewer and Water, who's done several similar projects, so we're confident they can complete successfully. Be happy to answer any questions.
Questions, comments? Yes, Alderman Mesiacos?
I wish you all the best trying to get this done this year. But because you said that, I'm thinking, how are we doing with the first 4 to date? What's the progress?
The first 2 are complete. The third one goes to City Council tomorrow, so it'll be also end of year construction project.
And is this and there has to be some logical approach to it, right? We're not just crossing our fingers, just for the record. Hopefully we'll get this done this year.
Yeah, both contract.
Because I'm trying to think before, what does it mean for the resident?
Both the
this
contractors for these
location.
projects are ready to get started. So I don't anticipate much of a delay after City Council to get moving. And usually we're looking at trying to finish things around Thanksgiving to get everything patched and closed up before the asphalt plants close for this.
Okay, all right, okay,
All right.
thank you.
Okay.
No further questions, so moved.
Second?
Motion by Jan Lesch, all, second, Ted Mesiacos, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed
Thank you.
4-0. Thank you.
Item 23-0718, a resolution authorizing the Director of Purchasing to execute an agreement with Ratio Architects, Chicago, Illinois, in the amount of $946,850.00.
Good afternoon, Jason Bauer with the Department of Public Works. So what we're presenting today is the first piece of the large-scale improvements at River Edge Park. Been here a couple of times throughout the year with different items that we're looking to do out there. We've come here with the Jumbotrons and the Jumbotron mounts and some fencing and decorative barriers. And I think actually it was you, Alderman Mesiacos, that said, hey, the next time you come, can we get a big picture of what's going on out there? And we thought that was a great idea. And I think at the time I even mentioned that when we come forward with the architect proposal, we thought it'd be a good time to start going over a lot of these bigger improvements that are going to be going on. So before I get into the selection process, I figured we could just walk through really quick what the improvements are and how these things came about. So going back 5 years or more, it's been an ongoing cooperative between city staff, APD, the folks at ACA, to identify things that the park is missing. And all that went into the development of what we feel was needed for phase 2. So it's a combination of what's been observed functionally from both the people who run the park, the people who attend the park, and then also throwing in things that the APD brought to our attention, like, hey, this would be good if you had this or that to, for either crowd control or, as I think Lieutenant Walcott even mentioned earlier today, the having cameras throughout the park. I mean, all that was done. This is not part of this, but it's still a part of the overall upgrade at the park that shows the different groups we're working with. So a lot of things have happened since the bridge, or since the park first opened. We have the new bicycle connection, the bicycle path. That changes how people enter the park. The park's being used for more than just concerts now. We just had the Fiestas events over the weekend, very successful, bringing in huge crowds. So it's really turning into that environment that we're not looking to just have concerts there. We're looking to do other items there. We've done work on the other side of the river to try and get possibility for larger events to tie the two together. There was all the new improvements at the ATC, so there's been a lot of activity in this area, and we want to keep that moving. So again, it's a big attraction. We were looking to start this even pre-pandemic, and when we came out of that, we got this back in the budget to start looking at this. And again, that group got together and we refined everything. So again, the park is now about 13 years old, somewhere in there. And we already mentioned we got the Wi-Fi in, we've got the point of sale system, so there's it's easier for them to sell refreshments throughout the park. All that's already been done. And now we're really focusing on the things that everyone is bringing to our attention that we need to do to not just increase the experience, but increase revenues as well. So we categorize these in two different ways, basically the back of house and the front of house. So the front of house being the improvements that are going to enhance the experience for the people that are coming to the park. And the back of the house, what can we do to make it easier to run the park? And what can we do to attract more events, larger events, maybe different artists, things like that. So again, revenue, experience, operations, and then bringing in APD for the safety component. The concept plan, I think this is a good one to look at. It kind of shows how the park lays out and where we're looking to do different improvements. Might be kind of hard to see on some of the monitors, but anything that's shown in yellow is what we're envisioning being some sort of a structure. The items in blue are essentially the Jumbotron screens. We've got safety improvements that are highlighted in red, and what's the green? And the green just landscaping that would go along with all the other improvements. Now, let me go back really quick. As far as the structures go, looking to do in addition to behind the stage, one of the things that's been pointed out to us is there's no dressing rooms, there's no restrooms, there's no area for the people that are coming in with these tours to have lunch. It's all done right now out of a mobile trailer that is really, it's in a horrible spot, but it's the only spot they have for it, and it's just not functional. You can't get many people in it, and then once you start looking at, okay, there's absolutely nowhere for the acts to be before or after the show. So it really discourages a lot of people from coming and performing. There have been acts that are bigger name acts that have wanted to come, and they said, yeah, we'll be there, and then they come and they actually look at the facility, and the tour managers say, you know, this just doesn't have everything we need. If you had X, Y, and Z, it probably would have worked out better for us. So that would be what's driving the backstage improvements. And then in the middle of the park, there's two structures that you'll notice. One of them is a beverage dispensing area, and the other one is a restroom facility. So those are the two biggest complaints. People say, well, in addition to it's hard to see the stage in some spots and thus the jumbotrons, but the other big complaints are the lines for the restrooms are way too long, and the lines to get refreshments are also way too long, to the point where people say, you know, whatever. Now, we do provide temporary facilities for the shows, but a lot of people prefer not to use those. They would like to use an actual restroom facility. So those are two of the main things that would be happening in that area, and then also additional storage. So if you've been to a concert or any activity there, you know that we have temporary areas where we're dispensing beverages from. Well, when those areas run dry, then there's somebody who's got to try and get a hand cart from back behind the stage out to those areas to try and restock coolers and things like that. So it's really not functional. So there would be additional cold storage there to really help facilitate making that turnover happen. And then you see the rest of the yellow improvements down at the south end. As we mentioned, with the new pedestrian bridge, there's a lot of parking on the west side of the river. We're encouraging people to go there. You can do your security check-in there, and then you can queue up on the bridge and come in from the south. There's also that's the area that we want to direct people to. So if you're there to pick up your will call tickets, you need to be able to do that there. Possibly even additional ways to store items there. Another big complaint that the staff has is, hey, you know, it's great when we've got all these metal detectors and everything, but after each and every show, we're taking these metal detectors from the other side of the PED bridge, bringing them across the PED bridge, bringing them backstage and trying to store them at the end of every show. So trying to figure out different ways to do the will call, the gate security, all of that we're looking towards Ratio, which is the contract that we'll be bringing forward to help us design those elements. So basically everything in yellow is what we're looking at on the next contract with Ratio. So with that, we went out for an RFQ. We got 8 different submittals. The team ranked those submittals. We had 2 teams that really stood out as the front runners, so we decided to bring them in for interviews. So we did brief interviews with the 2 top firms, and Ratio was the one that we decided to move forward with. So just a couple excerpts from their proposal and some of the other items that they've done. What we really liked about them is not only are they good architects, but they're really good at helping plan spaces, which is really what we need for this park. Down by where the new gate is, there's a large grass area, which we want to turn into something that's more of a Ravinia feel, where you've got maybe a different experience. We talked about possibly fencing that off separately from the other area for a different experience, or maybe it gets rented out as its own. They really understood when we had the interview what our problems were with the space, and understood this wasn't just, hey, we need you to develop a new restroom facility. We need you to help us plan this overall space. Tell us where things should be. How should we orient things? Take a fresh look at what was done the first go round and what needs to be changed of what's even existing. And they really understood that. And after we did interview the top 2 teams, Ratio had scored they were actually our second, but they really blew us away in the interview, and we were really impressed with the thoughts they had even at that point in time and how they discussed their approach. We already went over the jumbotrons and the security and the admission area. All right, I went a little out of order. I wasn't looking at my slides. So now we're moving forward once this gets approved, start really working with them on getting construction documents going, see if possibly there's anything that can be done in early 2024, and these probably are going to go into 2025. There's some potential impacts to the floodplain. We are really close to the river, so some of those things will add a little bit of time. We don't think we're going to disrupt that at all, but it does potentially bring other agencies in for review in terms of building new structures. And we also have, it's an interesting site because the bulk of your construction season is also when River Edge is in full swing with all their various events. So, they just wrapped up their last typically what is their last event of the year here in September with Fiestas, and they really start in May. So by the time you take into account the winter time, we're giving them basically 2 months before Chris Kindle Market starts, and then the ground is frozen, and then we're kicking off in the spring. So the spring to early summer, July I think is the first concert. June, July is the first concert. So you've got pretty abbreviated timelines, and that was one thing that we thought was important that both of these firms brought up when we had interviews with them. So with that, again, I think went over everything. I do apologize in the subject for the Legistar. I did not have River Edge Park in the title, but once it gets published, I can't change the title, so I will be taking care of that before COW, and certainly have absolutely no problem answering any questions.
Thank you for the update. It's good to hear that. We need it. We need more bathrooms, absolutely. It's a big lines. You're not there yesterday, you don't know. Lamas can say, yeah, right?
We need more bathrooms and more beer.
Yes.
That's what we've heard, yeah.
More attendance. Yeah. Questions, comments?
I have a question, Madam Chairman.
Yes, Alvaro.
I really appreciate you coming here today and giving us the overall picture. Very similar question to a resolution just a little while ago. What are the anticipated costs for this project?
I think right now,
We're hiring an architect, again, same question.
Sure.
Hiring an architect, proposing a fee, what's the long-term costs, and how are we planning for it?
Sure. So right now, the 2023 and 2024 budget had a combined $12 or so million for the improvements. One thing that we asked Ratio to do when they were preparing their proposal was just take a really quick look at those numbers. Those are older numbers from 2018. We asked them to say, hey, with everything you've seen in the industry, can you take a quick look at these? Coincidentally, we were working on budget concurrently at the same time we were going through this process. So we did increase our budgets, our request for 2024 slightly to include what they thought the delta would be between what it was back when these were put together in 18 to what they think they're going to be in 24. So yeah, to answer your question of what they think to be in the range of 13 to 14, we already have in the budget for those items, I think somewhere in the neighborhood of about 11. So,
And what's the duration of this overall project? Because what I'm trying to get at before you answer that is, in case we don't have enough money to do it in 1 or 2 years, is there a priority checklist in regards to what comes first?
Yeah.
And what goes down towards the bottom?
yes,
Hard
great
to
question.
establish.
And actually, even how you just said it is how it lays out on there. So we would need, starting at the top and working our way down,
Okay.
I think the will call gates and the things down in that area are definitely going to be the things that if we had to delay, we can live with what's down there, and we can live with how the will call system works now. We can deal with not having potentially, storage down there. We can live with the system of how people are getting into the park from the south right now, but taking care of the acts back, what the artists are looking for backstage, and what the biggest complaints are being, the new jumbotrons, restrooms, and easier ways to get beverages. So that would be the priority there, and there certainly would be enough between what's budgeted to get all of that done by 25. And again, we'll have an idea once the construction documents are done to sit back and say, okay, if this is what the number is, let's maybe phase this in later and go at that approach.
So it's a 2 to 3 year outlook, I should say.
Yeah, we're really hoping that by the time the concerts kick off in 25, that everything is in.
Well, the reason is I'm not trying to tie you down. I'm trying to expand it for you, because with all the delays, I mean, we still haven't really fully come out of this COVID effect with lead times and getting projects,
Sure.
getting materials for projects to be done, and with the timeframes you put on the architect because of our situation there with the venues and the shows going on, performances. I hate to see that you're putting the architect and the contractor on a tight leash, and then expectations are too high.
No, and actually, when we briefly met with them to talk about that before we even did anything, they brought up to us a lot of things that, they were concerned with from a timing standpoint, and it opened our eyes as to, okay, we can't just say, let's just get this done. We originally, when we went out, we said, we want this done by May of 2024, and, they all kind of helped us realize that that's just not realistic. So it is going to be phasing, it is going to be prioritizing, and it is going to be working very closely with the construction manager, which we will be hiring a construction manager for this as well, and the architect, to really phase things right and to do it the right way and not cut corners.
And the last question, this is the Moneyball question. When these designs come together and they come to fruition, are you going to come back to this committee and share it with us? Or which committee are we going to go to see them?
Everything would be
Great.
coming through INT first for anything that we do. Yeah,
Okay.
this is it's an infrastructure improvement. It's a budgeted project, so we'll continually be bringing everything back here.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Yes?
Alderwoman, so is this a tire look? I know that I appreciate Alderman Masiacos asking for a bigger picture of where we're going and other expenses. This projected ratio contract and the 12 million in pending construction, roughly 11 to 13. Is that pretty much it to getting us where we need to be, or is there a look beyond that?
If there's a River Edge Phase 3, I don't know of it yet, but 10 years from now, maybe people say, hey, what would be nice is let's do X, Y, and Z. But this is based on everything from when the park first opened up until this date. This encompasses improving everything that addresses all of the issues that have been brought to us. So maybe in the future, there's a way someone says we can go from a 7, we're hoping this takes it from a 6,000 square foot venue to maybe 7,500. Maybe someone has an idea, hey, you could increase this to 10,000 if you did this. And then, we would start that again with the budgeting process that we do every fall, where we come to council and suggest improvements and suggest, different programs.
Has anybody thought about a bridge over Broadway or something to get people across safely without all the excess
That
personnel?
could be the first
I'm
phase
just
of
saying
stage
that-
3. That's a great suggestion. I mean, I know the police would love it.
Sure, well, we're shutting down the other parking lot on the other side of the bridge.
Mhm.
Parking's gonna be the next issue, I can see.
Sure.
Now, you're saying we're gonna expand audiences and where are people gonna park, so.
Yes, definitely. And that comes into play a lot of times when we talk about the different parking arrangements. We talk about that, and, ideally, I'm sure APD would love to get a bridge, and for right now, that would definitely not be included in the Phase 2 improvements.
I think that's it, thank you, Chair. So moved.
Okay.
Second. There you go.
Okay, motion by Alderman Lash, second Alderman Lamas. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion pass, 4-0.
Item 23-0719, a resolution authorizing the Director of Purchasing to execute a contract with Hitchcock Design Group for a preliminary design services for Millennium Plaza in the amount of $70,000.00 in Ward 2.
Good afternoon, Jason Bauer again with the Department of Public Works. So this was a project that is also in the budget for this year. There was a decision package submitted to take a look at Millennium Plaza. We've been getting a lot of feedback, not to the same level as River Edge, but obviously we're always listening to things that come to us. We've been told, hey, Millennium Plaza really isn't a functional space. It's not really being used for much. It's 23 years old now. Everything in there is outdated. No one's going there to enjoy it. It's right there on the river. It's one of the few green spaces in downtown that we have that does have nice river views, that's open for the public to be there. So the first step that we wanted to do was, let's take a look at it. Let's hire a landscape architect and have them take a fresh look at what's there, what they think could be used there, and ultimately what would that design look like. So that's where we went out for an RFQ. We did get 6 submittals, and the review team unanimously selected Hitchcock. We thought that their proposal was great, their understanding of what we were looking for was great, and the examples of projects they had done previously really got us excited to see what they could come up with in the park, the plaza, I should say. So we did reach out to them. They worked up a Phase 1 agreement. So what they're going to do here is we're going to be meeting with the downtown groups, Office of Special Events, Downtown Services, Aurora Downtown. We're going to meet with the residents, have open houses to say, hey, are you using this plaza? If so, what do you like? If you're not, what do you think needs to be here? We've heard, there's not enough grass in the downtown. There's a lot of residential there. So does a component of this need to be somewhere that someone can take their dog outside? Things of that nature. But as it is right now, it's really not being used to what we think it could be if it was given a facelift. So this is to take it through all those listening sessions, bring back different concept drawings for us to review, and then have us fine tune and say, yeah, this is the design, and then let's figure out what needs to go there, and then start phasing things. We do have a request in for budget for 2024, where maybe we'd be able to implement all, if not some, if not all of the improvements, depending on what we choose to be there. Obviously, if all it is new landscaping and different hardscape, that's going to cost a lot. It's going to be a different scale than a massive water feature or something. So depending on what needs to go in and what the ultimate budget is for 2024, that would really set the tone for how much we can do next year. But we really want to get something moving on it now so that we have that game plan and find a way to move forward in the construction season next year. So their goal right now by their schedule was to essentially have that entire process done and have this concept drawing by the end of the year, and then next year go into construction documents and provide all that, and then we would go out to bid with either, again, depending on what scope we all feel is appropriate, either the entire project or the first phase of it in 2024.
Yes.
Chair, I have a couple questions. So one, I appreciate looking into this. The closure of Stope Island Social, I started to think about and hear from a lot of residents. And I noticed, of course, I'm wondering about the live entertainment that could be there. I do think that what's happening down there on Wednesday nights now is a nice little vibe that they've got going and positive, and we can build on that. So whatever we do, I hope we can build on that. Just a little bit of feedback from residents in Keystone about that they have a concern. I guess there was one person about sound of the live entertainment. But if you think about it, we used to have Blues on the Fox downtown. This would support some of our restaurants, but then we moved it all out to River Edge. And now we move all the food vendors out there, and that doesn't necessarily help the brick and mortars in the downtown that we've been subsidizing. So I'm hoping that out of some of this, we can get something that can be built in. I know it's not your job's to build the thing. But in all those conversations, to look at that question of how we can integrate it with some form of entertainment that attracts people to the actual downtown where they're going to spend their money in those businesses that we've been supporting for a while.
Yeah, that's definitely the goal, is to activate the space. And we even did tell Hitchcock initially that there are events here. There is a performance element, so that's going to likely still have to be part of it, but maybe it's in a different format. But yes, definitely.
That was the main thing, was including the performance and live performance. I think that's part of what's attracting people to the areas we want them attracted to.
For sure.
Thank you. I like the idea and where you're going with it.
Thank you.
Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Motion by Alderman Lama, second Alderman Jan Lesch. All in favor say aye.
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 Okay, motion passed
Aye.
4-0. No other item to discussion this
Motion
meeting?
to adjourn.
Motion adjourn are 5:15. Thank you
Second.
very much.